might have clicked on this and thinking, hey, college is a scam. Yeah, but some scams are bigger than others, and I'm gonna tell you the biggest scam today. It all started when I decided to be a business major. So it's my last semester in college, I only need one more actual class to graduate, and instead of spending an entire tuition on just one class, I said, hey, I'm only this young once, let me try some other classes. Some things I wanted to do before going off into the big bad world. While I was checking classes, I saw one called Jazz Piano, and I said, hey, I've always wanted to learn piano, but I've never really been able to. I've never really had the chance. I've played guitar, I've played bass, but I've never really got to sit down and learn piano through an instructor. This would be a great opportunity. I checked the class, I waited over the summer, I got ready to play piano for this guy, and the first class wasn't a lesson, it was just more of an introduction to everything. And to introduce ourselves, we had to say our name, say what our major was, and what we did over the summer. And everybody else, you know, I'm a music major, and I practiced piano all summer. I was actually the first one to go, hi, I'm a business major. And I worked all summer. Everybody was giving me kind of a look, you know, kind of like a... And then 2 days later, I took my first lesson. My professor said, okay, you can sit down and warm up on the piano. I practiced my skills to the best of my ability, and after about 3 minutes of practice, my Slavic professor turned around and said, I don't think you're supposed to be here. And I was like, oh. Okay, yeah, the School of Music requires you to be proficient at the piano, which you are not. And it was just kind of a moment where it's like, oh, so I'm not learning the piano. Well, first you have to audition. You have to play 25 minutes of music for audition, and then we will consider you. So, long story short, my first piano lesson was also my last piano lesson. And I left that building not sad or embarrassed. I left it with a smile on my face. A seething smile, you know, just... I guess I have a grudge against the School of Music now. But why did this make me so mad except for the fact that he told me to drop out of the class? Well... the auditions. He said, you have to audition to get into the School of Music. You have to play 25 minutes of music in front of us, and if we think you're good enough, you get in, and if you don't, then the School of Business is right beside us. Could you imagine, like, trying to be an accounting major, and in your first accounting class, the professor goes up to you and he says, you know how to file taxes, right? Because in order to get into the School of Accounting, you have to go through a trial where you file my taxes, and if you file them right, well... you're accepted. It's insane to me. Before I left the office, before I left the professor, he said, yeah, the audition is a lot like, you know, how football, you have to audition to get into football team. And I don't think he accounted for this, but there's no degree in football. There's a degree in music, there's a degree in piano when I'm trying to play. There's no degree in football. There's no degree in football, but there's scholarships. There's free money involved if you're good at football. So yeah, if you're really, really good at football, you can get benefits for college, unlike being good at piano, which just lets you get into a class. I wasn't proficient enough at the piano, right? The piano class is about mastery. Okay, let's talk about mastery then, okay? If you're a master at football, then you're probably getting into the NFL. And if you're in the NFL, then let's just say you're set for life. Let's just say your wrist hurts, okay? Oh, my wrist hurts. Okay, now let's talk about someone who's a master at jazz. At the top level, then best chance you might headline a 40-year-old jazz festival. I mean, you could be a studio musician for Kendrick Lamar, but you're not gonna be Kendrick Lamar. Have you ever seen a happy jazz musician? Like, have you ever seen a musician playing jazz that's like... No, let's be honest, you're just gonna be a teacher most likely. And before I left the class, you know, my professor compared auditioning for music school to auditioning for football. Also, like, auditioning for the School of Music is kind of like the bar exam, right? And he just kind of, yeah, like that. Newsflash, pal! Because the bar exam is for when you already graduate college, and you decide to be a lawyer and decide to get into law school. That's when you take the bar exam, is when you already took 4 years of college. The only real barrier to getting any degree in school, at least your bachelor's degree, is getting your associates. Do you get an Associates of Science and decide to go into chemistry, or do you get an Associates of Arts and decide to get into political science? Regardless, the point is that you take the classes and you learn how to do the thing you opted to do. There's probably people right now saying like,
oh man, you're just salty, man.
Yeah.
I am salty. I'm a little mad. But a lot of the value put into the School of Music is mostly just from the School of Music. And you could argue I didn't really want to dedicate myself to the piano, and that I was just kind of there to freeload my lessons. But it's college, and I'm paying for it. And I got into a creative writing class, and you know what? I'm not a creative writing major, but you know what? I'm killing it. I'm absolutely killing it in that class. And you know what? The professor accepts what I do. I didn't have to audition for a writing class, and I'm just fucking killing it. I'm someone who didn't grow up in a musically inclined family, and except for a couple of high school guitar classes, most of my theory, most of my technique, it's self-taught. I never really had a chance to grow up musically inclined unless I really forced it. I had work to do. I had other grades I had to push up, you know, in order to get to college. So to have this institution that basically requires you to have a dedicated sense of music before college, it was uncomfortable. And being in that piano class the first day, I didn't feel welcome, you know? I'm the guy with the different major, you know, everybody's kind of just, oh, you worked over the summer. And, you know, as it continued, they talked about, oh, if you don't know Bill Evans by now, then there's something seriously wrong with you. And you know what? When he said that, I had to look him up. I felt alone. I felt like an outsider. I guess I made this video because I am hurt. And I promised myself to be more successful than anybody involved in the School of Music because I wasn't given a chance there. So I'll take my chances elsewhere. If they don't want me, then they don't need me. But I'm mad. And it fuels me pretty well.